Hello and welcome to Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Smriti Rastogi. India's Chandrayaan-1 spacecraft helped NASA confirm the presence of frozen water deposits in the darkest and coldest parts of the moon. Chandrayaan-1 was India's first lunar mission that was launched in 2008 by the Indian Space Research Organization. NASA's Moon Mineralogy Mapper instrument aboard the Chandrayaan-1 spacecraft collected data that not only picked up the reflective properties of the ice, but was able to directly measure the distinctive way its molecules absorb infrared light so that it can differentiate between liquid water or vapor and the solid ice. One of the objectives of the Chandrayaan-1 was to design, develop, launch and orbit a spacecraft around the moon. Now, the Chandrayaan-2 mission, to be launched in the first week of January 2019, will get an edge as it is going for deeper exploration in the same region, the South Pole of the moon. In today's In Depth, we will get you the details of the discovery of ice on the lunar surface and India's space technology in Chandrayaan-1 and Chandrayaan-2. Human beings have achieved success in their quest for life-supporting elements on the moon. Scientists have confirmed the presence of ice deposits on the surface of the moon. For the first time ever, data from Chandrayaan-1 has confirmed ice deposits at both the North and South Poles. Scientists believe they can be used for future expeditions and sustaining longer human stays on the moon.
The moon has fascinated poets and scientists for many centuries. Both have supported dreams of sustaining human life on this celestial body. And now, scientists have achieved a major breakthrough that could make this dream come true. The discovery of life-supporting water on moon's surface. Data from Chandrayaan-1 spacecraft, launched by Indian Space Research Organization in 2008, has confirmed the presence of frozen water deposits in the darkest and coldest parts of the moon's polar regions. The result comes from the Moon Mineralogy Mapper or M3 instrument aboard Chandrayaan-1. M3 was uniquely equipped to confirm the presence of solid ice on moon.
Many scientists thought that moon must be having water, at least in the polar regions, which are very cool because they always remain in shadow. Sunlight never falls on those areas. Until now, till the report that came on 20th, it was published in the Journal of PNAs, that is Proceedings of National Academy of Sciences. So that report for the first time confirmed that moon does have deposits of water ice in its polar regions, the South Pole as well as the North Pole. Although the quantity of ice which is noticed on South Pole is more than the quantity found on the North Pole.
According to the study published in the journal titled Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences earlier this week, the ice deposits are patchily distributed and could possibly be ancient. At the lunar South Pole, most of the ice is concentrated in craters. At the lunar North Pole, the water ice is more sparse and more widely spread. The M3 instrument identified 3 specific signatures of the water ice on the lunar surface. Moon's water ice exhibited reflective properties of ice. M3 also directly measured the distinctive way the molecules of ice absorb infrared light.
It not only saw the reflected light from the ice which is present in the shadowed regions near the craters at both the South Pole of the moon as well as the North Pole of the moon. Also, the near infrared spectrum, that also was measured by the Moon Mineralogy Mapper, and from the infrared lines it is certain that there is also liquid water.
Led by Dr. Shuhai Lee from the Hawaii Institute of Geophysics and Planetology, the research team made use of the method called near infrared reflectance spectroscopy to detect the presence of ice. This discovery makes Moon a potentially habitable destination and stepping stone for future space missions, as it would be easier to tap the water from ice on the surface that the previously detected ice buried beneath the surface. Scientists believe that the ice on the Moon's surface can be turned into drinking water for occupants of a lunar base. Scientists are also exploring the possibility of splitting it into hydrogen and oxygen for rocket fuel. Oxygen could also be used for breathing by astronauts.
Some space scientists say that water ice is found, so it may be possible for astronauts visiting Moon in future to use this ice to produce water by melting, and also to produce hydrogen and oxygen, maybe for oxygen for breathing, hydrogen as a fuel. These are all now sort of prospects that we are talking about, but as yet we don't know what is the quantity of water ice present. If that is large, then it will be definitely very useful for human beings to go to Moon again and stay there longer.
NASA is now focusing on understanding the distribution of ice on the Moon as a key step in their long-term ambition plan to explore Earth's closest neighbor. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
India's efforts to send a mission to the Moon are not new. After the very successful first mission to the Moon, Chandrayaan-1, scientists are now gearing up for the India's second stint with the Moon, Chandrayaan-2. Let's take a look at India's mission to Moon, Chandrayaan.
Indian scientists have long been planning a mission to the Moon. The idea was first mooted at the Indian Science Academy meeting in 1999 under the Indian Scientific Mission. The proposal was discussed once again at the Astronautical Society of India in the year 2000. The recommendations at this forum led ISRO to form a National Lunar Mission Task Force, following which the government approved ISRO's proposal of its first mission to the Moon, Chandrayaan-1, in November 2003. With the successful launch of Chandrayaan-1 on 22nd October 2008, India gained entry into the elite club of nations that had successfully completed this feat. The main objectives of the mission were to detect the presence of water on the Moon, provide high-resolution chemical and mineral imaging of the entire surface of the Moon, and prepare a 3D atlas of both the far and near sides of the Moon. After the completion of all the major mission objectives, Chandrayaan-1's orbit was raised to 200 kilometers in May 2009. Chandrayaan operated for 312 days as opposed to the intended 2 years, but the mission achieved 95% of its planned objectives.
India's moon program started way back in 2008-2009 when India did the first mission to the moon called Chandrayaan-1. This mission lasted almost for 9 to 10 months. It is known that almost 95% of the stated objectives of India's first mission, moon mission, were completed by that mission. Now, amongst those stated objectives, one of the major objectives was to study the moon's surface and understand the mineralogical distribution over the moon's surface. So from that perspective, India had launched 2 sensors on it. One was a moon mineralogy mapper and one was the X-ray spectrometry telescope.
ISRO is now geared up for its latest mission to the Moon called Chandrayaan-2 in January 2019. Under this lunar mission, ISRO will for the first time attempt to land a rover on the Moon's south pole. The complex mission will comprise of an orbiter, lander and rover. Chandrayaan-2's tests are under progress and the spacecraft will be launched by GSLV Mark II. The mission will encourage new experiments by the use and testing of new technologies.
Chandrayaan-1, you see, Chandrayaan was only an orbital mission. That is, it was just to send a spacecraft in orbit around the Moon. But Chandrayaan-2 is a totally different mission. You can say 3 in 1. That is, the main spacecraft will go into orbit around the Moon. Then from there, it will land. It will drop a lander, which will land on the lunar surface. And after it lands, then a rover will roll out, and that rover will move around moon to do studies and photography and other things. So it is a very difficult mission for India, because India has never tried landing anything softly, because moon has no air, so you cannot use a parachute. So the landing has to be done by retro rockets. That is, you fire the rocket in opposite direction to slow down the spacecraft and land it softly. It's a very tricky job, but we hope that ISRO will be able to do it.
After reaching the moon's orbit, the lander will detach from the orbiter and do a soft landing near the south pole of the moon. The six-wheeled rover fixed within the lander will then be detached and move on the lunar surface. The rover will then send data and images of the lunar surface back to the Earth through the orbiter. At the time of the launch, Chandrayaan-2 will weigh 3,250 kilograms. Totally, the indigenous mission will cost an estimated 800 crore rupees. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And with that, we'll head into a very short break. Stay with us.
Watch The Big Picture with me, Frank Rausen Pereira, at 6:30 p.m.
Hello and welcome to Security Scan. I am Vishal Dahiya, and this week we will take a look at Scorpene-class submarines which are part of Project 75.
Well, it's a very advanced submarine and it has more stealth features. It's quieter, it's much quieter. And then, of course, it is a very light submarine. It's not a very big submarine, just under 2,000 tons.
Submarines can alter that psychological balance. If you have submarines with you, you were able to send the message to the adversary that we are present in our waters to actually safeguard these waters.
Project 75 is in a very critical phase right now. There were delays initially, when the deal was signed. There was a 4-year delay almost. But finally, we have the first submarine inducted last year, and then the Khanderi will probably join the fleet by end of this year, and in the next 3 years, hopefully, MDL is confident of delivering all the remaining 4 Scorpene-class submarines.
केरल में भीषण बाढ़ और तबाही, कई जाबाजों ने बढ़ाए हाथ, हजारों पीड़ितों की बचाई जान। आगे भी बन सकते हैं ऐसे हालात। कैसी हो तैयारियां, कैसे रहें सतर्क, देखिए विशेष शाम 7:30 बजे सिर्फ राज्यसभा टीवी पर।
Welcome back. Chandrayaan-1 was India's first mission to the moon. It operated for almost a year between October 2008 and August 2009. The lunar orbiter is best known for helping to discover evidence of water molecules on the moon. Let us understand the details and objectives of this mission.
0 + 1 + 2.
Chandrayaan-1 was India's first lunar probe, launched successfully by the Indian Space Research Organisation on 22nd October 2008 from Satish Dhawan Space Centre in Sriharikota. It was an unmanned spacecraft weighing 1,380 kilos, with onboard power of 700 watts, launched from PSLV C-11 launch vehicle. The satellite made more than 3,400 orbits around the moon. The spacecraft carried 11 scientific payloads built in India, UK, USA, Germany, Bulgaria and Sweden. The mission comprised an orbiter and an impactor. The spacecraft was designed to study the moon, including chemical, mineralogical and photogeologic mapping, orbiting around it at the height of 100 kilometers from the lunar surface.
Chandrayaan-1, which was launched around 2008, it was a success because in its maiden attempt itself, India could get Chandrayaan-1 in a perfect orbit around the moon, and the feather in the cap is such a fantastic discovery has been made in its maiden attempt itself.
The mission provided a major boost to the Indian space program as India effectively researched and indigenously developed the technology to explore the moon. The main objectives of the mission were to design, develop, launch and orbit a spacecraft around the moon using an Indian-made launch vehicle, to conduct scientific experiments using instruments on the spacecraft which would yield results. Prepare a three-dimensional atlas of both the near and the far sides of the moon, mapping chemical and mineralogical features of the entire lunar surface at high spatial resolution, mapping particularly the chemical elements magnesium, aluminium, silicon, calcium, iron, titanium, radon, uranium and thorium. Increase scientific knowledge, test the impact of a sub-satellite on the surface of the moon as a forerunner to the future soft landing missions, detect water ice on the moon. Chandrayaan-1 detected evidence of water across the lunar surface. NASA's instrument, Moon Mineralogy Mapper, aboard Chandrayaan-1 helped to find the existence of water molecules on the lunar surface. Its findings also include confirmation of the magma ocean hypothesis, meaning the moon was once completely molten. Terrain mapping camera on board Chandrayaan-1 has recorded images of the landing site of US spacecraft Apollo 15. They have also enabled scientists to study interaction between the solar wind and a planetary body like Moon without a magnetic field. Chandrayaan-1's X-ray spectrometer has detected titanium, confirmed the presence of calcium and gathered the most accurate measurements yet of magnesium, aluminium and iron on the lunar surface.
The instrument which detected ice, it is called the Moon Mineralogy Mapper, that is, they call it M3. This was provided by NASA, which was fitted on Chandrayaan when it went to Moon. So although the instrument was provided by NASA, the Chandrayaan was an Indian spacecraft and all the operations and the data collected was by Indians. So it is the success of Chandrayaan mission indirectly, and we can say that, well, Chandrayaan did reveal a lot of new things about the moon, because for the first time it revealed the presence of water on moon, and now it has confirmed the presence of water ice, solid water ice on moon.
India emerged as the fourth country in the world to hoist its flag on the lunar surface. After almost a year due to several technical issues and contact failure, on August 29, 2009, the ISRO officially declared the mission over. Chandrayaan-1 operated for 312 days against the planned 2 years, but was successful by achieving 95% of its planned objectives. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Indian Space Research Organisation has started work on building igloo-like habitats on the moon. These habitats will be built by sending robos and 3D printers to the moon and by using lunar soil and other materials.
Since time immemorial, the moon has been a fascinating part of mankind's cultures and religions. Growing up as children, we've all heard numerous tales about the moon. Many love poems and films show moon as a symbol of romance. Worshipped as a deity, the moon is the closest celestial force and has its impact on the earth and its inhabitants. It influences a variety of natural phenomena that occur on earth. Almost 50 years after Neil Armstrong first landed on the moon, our quest to explore the moon continues.
Our knowledge of life is only the life we see on Earth. It is based basically on carbon, organic. Now, if there is on any planet, if there is a life based on any other element, that is, silicon may be there, we don't know, because we don't have any experience of life of that kind. So that way, testing or looking for life elsewhere is at present based only on experience with life on Earth. If there is any different kind of life, it will not be possible for us to detect with our existing methods. So maybe scientists will have to devise some new methods and try to find out whether there's life and look for other indicators. Because now we know, metabolism, breathing, all these things are some you can say something associated with life. An inanimate object doesn't breathe and all. So new tests have to be designed to look for life elsewhere in the universe in case it is not of the same type as we see on Earth. That may be a very tricky, problem.
Man's dream, not just to land on moon but to stay on the planet, can get real soon. If all goes as planned, people can even plan vacations on the moon. Traces of water and ice have been found on the surface of the moon. ISRO is also examining how to build habitations on the planet. Work has begun on building igloos on the moon by sending robots and 3D printers and using lunar soil and other material. Scientists have drawn up 5 designs of the lunar habitats. Although there is no mission plan yet, ISRO wants to have technology ready to build these structures.
In future, when human beings set up their lunar colony, because that is the nearest place where, in case there is a disaster which strikes our Earth, then that's the nearest place where we can hop onto. And since all living beings require water, it is a very good news that there is water available on moon, so that in case human beings set up their colony, they will never face water shortage. At least for a limited number of people, the water will not be a problem.
Igloos on the moon will be similar to India's outpost in Antarctica. ISRO Satellite Center Director M. Anadurai says the space agency has mastered the process of creating lunar simulant, the material that approximates the properties of lunar soil, and it has about 60 tons of it. Its properties match 99.6% with the samples brought from the moon by Apollo missions. Many countries, including the United States, are considering building more permanent structures on the moon and working there. In the long run, the space station is likely to be scrapped and replaced by these structures. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And with that, it's a wrap on today's edition of In Depth. We'll be back same time tomorrow with a focus on another subject. You can also watch our episodes online on YouTube and Twitter and get back to us with your feedback and suggestions. Thank you for watching.